Hi there, it's Jan here from JB Crafts, and I'm back today to start my Christmas series for this year. So I've been talking about it for the last couple of videos. I've dug out all the bits and pieces, and this is going to be card number 1 or project number 1 in my 12 days of Christmas. So there's going to be 12 video tutorials leading right up to Christmas, and I normally post Tuesdays and Saturdays. So if there are any bonus ones in there, I'll let you know. But the idea is to have 12 Christmas projects leading us all the way up to Christmas. There'll be a variety of projects. Some of them will be cards, some will be construction, some will be gifts, sort of gift bags, gift boxes, things like that. So yeah, we'll see where it takes us over the next few weeks. So today I'm starting out with a concept style card, and I've gone a little bit more sort of contemporary with colours today rather than the traditional red, gold and green. So yeah, we've gone with sort of those blues and the icy blue background and silver as a complement colour. So I'm going to call this one a triple point concept card. So it's got the 3 points at the bottom here. Now this is not my design. There are lots of tutorials for this out there on the internet, but I just wanted that. I think it's a really nice one, and I just wanted this for the channel here, sort of to build up that folder of concept designs. It's really simple to do, to be honest. It's very effective, very different, but very, very simple to achieve. And then I've just popped a little tiny bit inside there where you could write a small message. If you wanted to write anything more than that, you could pop a message on the inside, or you could always add a matten layer on the reverse of the card. So at the moment I've just got that little triangle in there to echo that main triangle on the front, and then we've got our details here for the focal point, and I'll show you the products that I've used. There's a mixture of products as we go along. So it's a 6x6 design, so my measurements today will be for that 6x6 inches, but you could alter this. It's very, very simple, the concept, and you can make it on a 7x5 card. You could make it on a larger square. Yeah, it's, once you see how it's done, if you've not come across this before, as I say, very, very straightforward. So we'll pop that one over to one side for a second, and I will bring in some of the pieces that we're going to use. So first of all, I've got a shop bought 6x6 inch card. So this is out, I'm still using up the tremendous stash that I had out of my craft boxes that I had when I was working for Crafters Companion. And it's a shop, it's actually it is 6x6, this one. Sometimes when you buy them shop bought, they are slightly less, and it's the envelope that measures the dimension. But today this one is a true 6 inch by 6 inch. So if you don't have these, you could cut this from a piece of 12-inch cardstock. So we've got 12 inches long by 6 inch in height, and score it down the centre at 6. If you don't have access to that, you can make this from an A4 piece. You would just need to reduce the measurements very, very slightly to accommodate that that less amount of space. So I'm going to use my fold at the top here, and we're going to cut into the front of this first. So I'm going to open it up with one of the edges at the bottom here. My fold is still in the centre, and what I want to do is find the centre of this piece here. So I know that I'm working on 6 inches, nice and straightforward. This one measures 3 in the centre there. So just mark that centre point with a pencil. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to bring in my larger trimmer for this one, just to accommodate the rest of the cardstock. And we want to actually cut from the centre up to this top corner here, and from the centre up to the left hand top corner. So we're going to cut these pieces off the bottom. So just a couple of cuts in your trimmer or your guillotine, and all I'm going to do is line up the outside edge of my score line here with the edge of my trimmer, and then I'm going to bring that centre point here. Let me just make sure that I'm in shot for you. So I've got the score line at the top here on the edge of the blade, and I've got the little pencil mark, which was the centre, on the edge of the blade. Hold it down, and we want a nice straight cut to take that corner away. And then we're going to flip it round, and we're going to do exactly the same at this side. So again, I've got that score line here right on the edge of my blade, and I've got the tip where we mark the halfway mark, and we're going to take off that other side. So that is my 2 cuts for now. That is all I want to do with that piece. And this is going to be the structure of the card. So I'm just going to take my eraser, a little tiny bit of pencil mark showing. I don't want that on there. Just take that away with the eraser. And this is going to be the front of the card. So you've taken off the corners here. And if you simply pop these back in place for a second so that they're in the correct orientation, literally all we're going to do is tilt them 1 and 2, and that is the basis of this design on the front. The rest of it is just simple matting and layering. So you can see now we've got that shape starting to emerge that we've got here, and like I said, the rest of it is just matting and layering on there. So I'm going to keep these to one side for a second, just pop them either side, keeping them in the right orientation. And what I've done is I've chosen some paper. I dug all my my Christmas stuff out, which I keep separately during the year, and these are really old paper pads now then that I've had for quite a long time. This one's a first edition paper pad called North Star. You may or may not have access to it. I very much doubt that it's still available. I've had this a number of years now. Some of the papers are foiled in here. There's some lovely papers in here. If I just go through from the back, you can see we've got lots of some double-sided ones at the back. Got a very icy theme to it. Polar bears, penguins, the Arctic Circle. Really, really nice. And I love the blues for that sort of, I like the alternative colours for Christmas. So I've taken a piece from that, which has got that lovely foiling on it here. It's got some foiled stars on there, or they could be snowflakes, just with a little hint of the blue in the background, which is where the blue card came from originally. So that's how I decided on my colour scheme. Now this one's cut 1/4 inch smaller. So we had a 6-inch card base. I've come down to 5 3/4 inches for my mat. I'm not going to put anything behind it. I don't want too much bulk, and I didn't want to reduce this space for the pattern paper. If you wanted to add a matte layer to this, for example in the silver, you would just do the silver matte this and then come down another 1/4 inch to 5 1/2. But I'm happy with just that one layer in the background, and I'm going to use my Collal glue there, and we'll get this one stuck in place while we work on the front of the card. So a little bit of glue in the background there, and then this one's going to stick right in the back, facing forwards, and just making sure that I've got that nice even border all the way round. Now I have inked the edges of my paper with a little bit of Distress ink. I've got Salty Ocean here, which is a sort of a turquoisey blue, and I've used my blender to just go around the edges of the paper there. So we've got that one in place, and then this will close over the front of it. So I'm just going to grab my bone tool there just to give that an extra crease. Make sure it's nice and snug so that it will stand up when we've finished. Now then, I want to create mats for these pieces, and again, you don't have to worry about any angles or anything like that. It's very, very straightforward. So if you remember, the front of our card measured 6 by 6 inches. Now I'm going to come down to 5 1/2 inch this time, because I wanted a little bit more of the white showing at the front. So 5 1/2 inch square of blue card here sits in the front of it like so, and then we're going to chop into it in the same manner. Now I've started this because I wanted to do some of the embossing before I came on camera. So again, I've done exactly the same process. Half of my 5 1/2 is 2 3/4, so I've measured the centre, and then I've cut from the centre up to that top left corner, and from the centre up to the top right corner. And I've already done that so that I could start the embossing. I just popped it together with some low tack tape so that I could show you how that piece originated. So again, if we keep everything in the right orientation, like so, pop those to one side, you can see that's where I've actually taken my cuts, just like we did on the front of the card. And then I chose an embossing folder, This was just, again, one that I've had quite a long time. It's called Fluttering Snowflakes. It's a very old one from a collection called Winter Wonderland from Crafters Companion. And I've already popped this one in and embossed this part of the cardstock here. So we're actually going to do those other 2 panels as well. And again, this is optional. You don't have to do the embossing. And I'm not too worried about whether, you know, that they're in the right place on the embossing folder, because we're going to tilt these anyway and put them in a completely different angle, which is why I went for an embossing folder that's got an all over print rather than a design. You don't want anything that's got an oriented design, because we're going to tilt these pieces into place. So all I'm going to do then is take my clear plate and my cutting plate, which is starting to get very tatty, and then I'm just going to pop behind me and pass that through my die cutting machine. My Gemini sits behind me at the in the craft room, and then when we take this out, we've got those other 2 panels with that lovely embossed feature on the top, and those are going to sit back in that orientation there. And then these will be the perfect size. Now we need to do a little bit of trimming for the side ones. I'm going to leave those to one side for a second. But the front one fits on here beautifully now. So we're just going to literally line that up, and that one will fit in the middle. So I'm going to take that same Collall glue now, pop it all together with the solvent base glue so that I don't get any ruttling of my cardstock or paper that I'm using. And we'll get this one cut down. So that one's just going to pop right in the centre here with a nice even border. Let's just pop those with the respective pieces all the way around there. And then once we're happy with that, we can commit to sticking that down. Okay. Now then, technically these will fit. If I pop these on here, you can see that they do fit perfectly, but the border is slightly narrower just because of the way that we've cut it. We've actually got 2 white borders. If this was all one piece, you can see that that border would be perfect, but because we've got 2 borders, it's just slightly narrower. So all I'm going to do is take my trimmer. I'm just going to use the little one now, and I'm just going to go off this long edge here, the straight edge from the right angle, and flip it over, and I'm just going to take a fraction. It's probably about 1/8 of an inch, that long edge, and what that will do will actually provide us with a piece now that's got that slightly wider border. And then I'm going to do the same with this one. So right angle at the bottom, it's this long edge that we want here. So again, I'm just going to pop it in, and I'm taking, as I say, about 1/8 of an inch off that edge. It's only a little tiny sliver, maybe not even 1/8 of an inch. Okay, and you want them to be the same size, so I can just double check because I have done it by eye. But yeah, those are about the same size now, so I'm happy with those. And it's just enough to allow for that extra sort of border that we're wanting to create. So again, these are going to stay with their respective matte layers from the card that we cut at the beginning. Add that same glue and get these matted ready. So this one's now going to fit here, and again you can lay it down with the wet glue and just get it into place where you want it to go. Make sure that all those borders are nice and even. And then I'm going to do the same with this one. Get that glue in there. And I've made sure it has gone right to the point on here because I want that point to be stuck down. I don't want it to sort of catch on anything. And then this one's going to lay in here. So again, just wriggle it into place until you've got a nice even border, and we can leave those to dry for a second. And then we're actually going to position those on the card. So once they've dried, if I bring this back here again, you can see we've still got those 2 corners. You want them in the right position where they've come off the card. And then all we're going to do is tilt these And you want an equal distance from centre to here and from centre to this side. And then this point, which was the right angle, wants to come level with the outside edge of the card. Now, Jan being Jan, I couldn't eyeball that. I wanted to actually get this reasonably accurate. So I came in 1.5 inch from the central point. I made a little mark, and 1.5 inches from the central point and made a little mark here, just so that I knew they were going to fit in the right place. So I've now got that point, and then you tilt this one until the outside corner meets the edge of the card. And then we've got this one in its correct orientation, and we're just going to tilt this one in until this point matches. And they want to be level with the base of your card, so that these are the bits that the front of the card is going to stand on. So make sure that they're not overhanging at the bottom. They want to be level, and that these outside edges match. And then I'm just going to flick to my embellishment glue, my PVA acrylic glue here. And what I want to do is pop some glue underneath here just to stick these two pieces together. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue in the back there. Again, whoop, that wasn't the plan, Jan. Hopefully we'll cover that bit up. That should cover up with what we're going to work on. So yeah, get this one back on the point there and on the outside edge, like so. Now, it doesn't quite run parallel here, but I'm not too worried about that. That's not the actual design. If you want them to run parallel, you could bring them closer together, like so. But then I end up with that point taking off the edge of here, and I want to see these. I want these to be a feature in the card. So yeah, I'm just going to go for that point that we've marked here, and then this one, tilt it in, point that we've marked here onto that outside edge. And then I'm just going to stick those in the middle there. I want those to be one piece. And then I'm just going to grab my double-sided tape. You can pop these down flat if you wish, but I am going to put a little bit of dimension behind mine. So I'm just going to take a length off my roll of double-sided tape here. And that acrylic glue is quite a quick grab, so I'm okay with these now. Turn it over. And just before I start adding my tape, I'm going to position this upside down for a second. And I just want to pop a little marker. Where's my pencil? There it is. I don't want to go any further than that outside edge. So I know that my tape only wants to go on this side of it here. So again, I am going to add, this is just the 1 mil again. If you want to lay these flat, you can stick this part down flat, but I just wanted a little bit of dimension here. So I'm just going to add some pieces to that layer. And I'm also going to pop a little bit, take that piece off, that bit can just nestle in there. And then I want some here, so I'm going to go across the bottom like so, and then I need a little bit at this edge as well, so we'll just go up there and then just a little bit to fit in that gap here so that it's all supported. And then this bit, if you've got any left, I use my carrier sheets that my foam pads come on and just stick it on there, and you've got that to use on another occasion. It will just peel back off again. So we've got all that in place now. Okay, let me just put the lid on that one so that it doesn't dry. And then we need to take the backing off here. So again, this is my Sticks 2 double-sided tape. It's absolutely changed my life as far as foam tape's concerned. Any of you that followed me when I was working for Crafters Companion know that I used to have a love-hate relationship with my foam pads. I could never get the back of them off when I was on air. They're fine when you sat working by yourself, but the minute I went live on air, I used to have a nightmare with them. But this one, not had any trouble with at all. So again, we want those narrow points at the top and we want the wider pieces at the bottom. I'm going to bring this back in now, and I've got my little marks here. So if I line these 2 points up with the base of the card on those marks, the rest of it should fall perfectly into place now. And just give that a press down, and we've got the front of our card there, which now stands on that triple point, hence the triple point concept card. So that's the bones of the card. The rest of it now is just decoration, and again, you know, you can go wherever you want with that decoration. So I had a look through my stash and pulled this particular set out, which is called Christmas Joy from Crafters Companion. I think these came out, I want to say last year. Wouldn't be 100% certain because time just flies, but I think it was towards last year's Christmas sets. And all I've done is I've taken that inside piece out of here. I just wanted the joy element. So I've just taken this piece out, which creates that little die cut in the centre here. So you get the border, you get an external frame, and then you get the die cut for the middle that says joy. So some of you may have this in your stash. If not, like I said, I'm not expecting you to use the identical products that I have. I want you to dig through your stash and have a look for something that's suitable. It may be a stamped image on the front of here. It may be something that you've coloured in. It may be something that you've die cut. It may be sort of, you know, you could put a little collection of snowflakes on the front of it. Absolutely anything. It doesn't have to be the same. So I started off with it in here and thought, actually, I want it elevating from there a little bit. So what I've done is I've cut 2 of these in the blue cardstock, which was left over from my front pieces. Here it's the same card. I've cut 2 of these and stuck them together. Okay, so I've got a nice sort of decent cut out element here that says joy, and then it's got the little angel in the corner there. So to just lift it away from that design, I sort of brought in a little bit of silver, and I've used a scrap that was left over because this was a larger, this was an 8x8 piece, my background piece. I cut a section off the top and a section off the side, so I had got scraps of that, and I've just cut an oval and a scalloped oval that I'm going to sit in the middle here for my focal point there. So just before I forget, I am just going to take those marks that we made at the bottom off with the eraser there, and then we can stick this one where we want it to go. Now, because I'm going onto an embossed surface, I've popped a couple of layers of nice sturdy red line tape to pop this on with. And again, I want to get this in a position that I'm happy with, but I want to be able to see some of those points left over. So yeah, I'm going to sort of aim to get it reasonably central, in the sense that I've got about an equal distance here and here, and I'm equal about here. It's a little bit deeper there, but I'm happy with where that is sat now, and give that a press into place. And then we're going to sit this one on top like so. But I wanted to highlight the little angel, so I took my die again and just cut this section with a tiny little scrap of silver holographic card, and then I've snipped it away. You can see this is the bit that's come out of the die here. Just snipped it away with my scissors, and we're actually going to pop this one over the top to just highlight the little angel. So let's get those pieces popped together. So again, I'm going to use see if I've got a piece of scrap in here, and I'm going to use my dot runner on the back of this one. So just to add some adhesive on the back. You can use your wet glue if you wish, but I just think these are great for the back of your die cuts there. So again, just adding little dots wherever I've got edges of the die cut. And then I'm going to position this one on top of my design, so it's reasonably central again, making sure that we've got this running horizontal. And then when we're ready, I can use my greaseproof paper there and just give that a press into place. I need to replace that. It's got a little bit of paint from the mixed media I was doing the other day. Okay, and then I'm going to use that precision glue again, my acrylic glue, on the back of here. Just add some little tiny dots to make sure that all the edges are anchored. Again, you could use the dot runner for this, but I want to make sure that this doesn't lift off if it's going in an envelope or anything like that. And I nearly always, when I'm doing something like this, particularly on something like a mirror card, is just dap off any excess glue. You don't actually need anywhere near as much as you think. And then this one's going to sit. I'm going to put mine directly over the top. You could offset it to give it that little bit of a shadow, but I wanted her to be in silver, and that one's going to adhere over the top. So you could stop there again. Okay, you could leave it like that, but again, I wanted to add a bit more decoration to the front. So out came a little sentiment, and then I've got a snowflake die. These were just the two matte layering dies that I created the oval with, a scallop and a plain rectangle. And then I've cut 3 snowflakes in white. And again, I keep my snowflake dies together so that I've got access to these. I've got lots of different sets, but any of them will work. And I've just cut 3 out in white, and we're going to add those to our design. So this one's going to sit just across. I was going to put it across the middle originally, but I didn't want to cover up too much of that, so we ended up coming to one side. So because of that, I've popped a little bit of tape under here, like just to sort of bolster it. But before we stick that one down, I'm going to pop some of these snowflakes on. And again, add little tiny dabs of, I'll do it over the blue, and then you can see, just on the pieces that are going to be anchored. And I want one of them to sort of just disappear slightly under that greeting, like so. So we'll give that one a press down. I'm going to go with the second one, do the same again. Just little tiny dots of glue on the back there. And this one I want to just tuck under the edge of here so that it's peeking out from that side. And then this one I felt was too big to go at the top. So again, don't be afraid to sort of cut into things. I'm going to take one of the edges. It's not quite halfway, sort of about 1/3 and 2/3. Okay, and then we can add glue to this one. And I'm just going to slot that one as if it was poking out of the edge here. So I'm just going to grab that with my tweezers, and I want it to sort of go as if it was coming from the edge of here. You can see that just fits in there really nicely now. And then now I can get my sentiment in place here. So if I take the back off the foam tape, and I am also going to add a little bit of glue at this side where it's going to overlap the sentiment to make sure that it's nice and secure. And I want that to just dip into the sentiment here, and then also over that snowflake, and have that like so. Okay, so again, you could stop at this point, but I wanted something on the inside as well. I wanted a greeting on the inside, and I did say that I would continue to do these on video whenever you guys are wanting to see that, as to what the thought process was. So my immediate reaction for this was it could either be the oval on the inside or it could be the triangle. Now I tried the oval and I didn't think it was really big enough. Once I'd stamped a sentiment into that oval, you weren't going to have much space to write a sentiment. So again, it depends how you want to do it. You could recreate the oval here with a stamped sentiment, and then you could mat and layer the back to write your own written message on. Lots of different options. But I decided to go with the triangle. So I've actually come down a little bit smaller again. I had a look at what kind of width I'd got here because I wanted it to hide behind that original triangle. And this was 5.5 that the dark blue was cut at. So I've actually come down to 4.5 inches square now. And we're going to do that exact same process again to get the dimensions. So half of 4.5 is 2.25. Okay, so I've just marked that centre again. Bring in my trimmer and we're going to do exactly the same. We're going to go from that top left corner to our pencil mark, like so. And then I'm going to bring it the other way and go for, sorry, that was the top right corner. And then from the top left corner down to that pencil mark. And that's going to create us exactly the same angle without having to do an awful lot of measuring. You can see this looks just like the front did originally. It's just been shrunk onto a smaller size. So I don't need these two pieces. They can be used for die cutting. And actually on the original one, I used these scraps to die cut my snowflakes out when I decided I wanted some extra embellishments. And this one now is going to fit under here and be disguised behind the front of it. So we're going to stamp a greeting on that one. We'll just pop the card to one side for a second. I've still got the greeting in my MISTI here. Just put the lid back on the glue. You know, I'm the world's worst at leaving the lid off and then I end up with it all dried. Just pop that lid back on for a second. So what I've done then is, because I wanted to make sure this was running straight, I've actually flipped it upside down so that I've got a nice straight edge in the bottom here. And my stamp is still positioned from when I did the original one. Not quite sure what I've got all over my piece of card there, but the eraser, and if the pencil eraser doesn't take it off, the glue eraser is really good for removing little bits of muck that may get on there. Okay, and I've got my sentiment in this side ready. I'm going to use a nice strong black ink, just remembering that everything's upside down, so my sentiment needed to be upside down for this purpose as well. And then bring this one down and transfer that ink onto my cutout there. Perfect. Give that a little wipe so that that ink doesn't transfer, just to tidy it up. This is about all my stamps get with regards to cleaning. If you take it off straight away, it's not a problem. And then I had this bit good to go. Okay, that was the one that you've done, Jan. This is the one that we're making. And this will now fit underneath the back of here. So again, you could leave it at that stage. I actually wanted to bring in some of the ink. So I'm just going to put my mat down, pop this to one side for a second, and I'm going to bring back in that Salty Ocean sort of bluey ink that matched my design. I just went through my colour swatch and had a look which of the blues that I owned were going to be suitable. And again, I want to get it into the bristles. I don't want a heavy blue edge on this. I'm going to go very lightly and just bring it in from the edges there. Can use what's on the mat now. That will be more than sufficient. I'm actually going to put the lid on there so that I'm not tempted to go in there again. And just bring it into that edge to add a little bit of that blue. Like so. And that's all I need to do. And then what I tend to do, just to make sure, is almost it's almost like rubbing it off again. But I only want it to be very, very subtle. Okay. Definitely got something on my fingers, I think, because I keep seeing little dirty marks appearing on there. I am the world's worst for dirty fingers. I don't know about you guys. Can never keep them clean. Okay, so this is going to go inside then as my greeting. So the easiest way that I found to do this was turn the whole thing round like so. I am going to put my Collall glue on the back of here. Get this good to go, and I wanted it to sit evenly. So rather than guessing, I'm going to put this on here with the glue facing up, and I'm going to get it centered in that triangle that we've already got the front of the card, like so, and then very, very gently close the back onto it, and we'll get this now in the perfect position to be concealed behind that main triangle on the front of the card, so there's nothing peeking out. And then I've done exactly the same this time. I just happened to have this tiny little piece that we'd trimmed off the front just sat there looking at me, and thought, actually, because we can, we'll just add a bit of glue rather than, you know, it could go in the bin, but I hadn't thrown it away, it was just sat there. So I'm going to put some little dabs of glue when my glue decides to play. I was only using it a second ago. Come along. There we go. Just on those points so that it will grab. Do you know, I don't know what's going on now. Let me just grab, it did this to me earlier. I think it's probably getting ready for a good clean out. Let me just give that nozzle a little bit of a, oops, don't go and lose the pin, Jan. Sometimes it just seems to get a bit clogged in there. I think it's probably ready for a good, every so often I sort of wash it all out with some warm water. So I'll put that in there, and hopefully we've now got our glue flowing. Yeah, there we go. So again, just enough to tack it down onto that. And I thought this would look nice just as an accent, and you could put this anywhere. I actually went just for this top edge, and because there was only that little bit left, I offset it. You could cut some more if you wanted to decorate the edge of this, but I just thought that one little bit there was enough of a suggestion and a hint to the front of the design where we've got these ones, that it linked it all together. So that's my card finished. The only thing that I added onto my sample, and any of you that know me won't be surprised, excuse me, was just some silver gems here. I've gone for the middle of the 3 snowflakes, and then I like an odd number, so I'd got the 3, and I started scattering them about on the design, and I thought, no, I don't like it. It looked very disjointed, so I've just gone for a couple inside the O on the joy. So I've now got my 5 gems, and they are actually sort of part of the design rather than just scattered around wherever. So exactly the same design, exactly the same on the inside. I've even got that little bit of snowflake there, and then, as I say, just adding the gems to there to finish it off. In my world, nothing's finished without the little gem accents on it. So yeah, that's my design for today, that triple point concept card. It does stand up. If you have any trouble with it sliding, if it's not standing properly, more often than not, it's just this top fold that wants burnishing really, really well to teach that cardstock. Give it a little bit of memory, and you'll find, I mean, this is actually quite a shiny surface, and that one's standing nicely. So yeah, it just wants that fold reinforcing. If it starts to slip, and what I call giraffe legs, yeah, just give that fold another burnish and it should be good to go. So I hope you've enjoyed it. The very first card number 1 in my 12 Days of Christmas series. There will be more to come, and as I say, they're not all going to be cards. There is going to be some construction in there, some gift ideas in there. I've got lots of things planned out to see how we go on over the next few weeks, and there'll be Tuesdays and Saturdays for the next 6 weeks to take us right up to Christmas. So give it a thumbs up if you've enjoyed the tutorial. Let me know in the comments whether you like the design. Do you like the alternative colours, or again, would you choose to make it in your traditional red, gold and green? And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I would appreciate your subscription, and then you'll know next time I upload another tutorial for you. So enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll be back very soon with card number 2 in the series. Bye for now.